Joining us from our Cape Town studio now is Ross Bruton from Frost & Sullivan. And we're looking at the story of a massive 11 billion barrels of oil reserves being found off the coast of Namibia. Thank you very much for your time, Ross. How significant is this in the life of sub-Saharan Africa?
The discovery of 11 billion barrels of crude oil off the coast of Namibia is significantly important to especially southern Africa, regardless of sub-Saharan Africa. Taking a look at the proven reserves off the edge of Angola, their reserves amount to approximately about 13 billion barrels. Angola, as I'm sure most of you know, has overtaken that of Namibia in 2010 in crude oil production and export to the rest of the world. So the discovery of oil deposits within Namibia of this size is quite substantial.
Does this mean that ultimately we can become independent of OPEC, or is that being a little bit too hopeful in your opinion?
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little there. It's heavily dependent on, once we've dug a few exploration wells off the coast of Namibia and confirmed those deposits. Furthermore, the trade of crude oil is going to be on the international market basis. We're going to have to sign firm bilateral agreements with that of Namibia for the supply of crude oil in order to gain some form of supply security from international crude oil producers such as OPEC.
Ross, just give us some background on the discovery. When you say it was discovered, who actually put the holes down or the wells down and actually discovered it and can confirm that there are reserves of 11 billion?
There's been quite a few participants in the upstream oil and gas industry off the coast of Namibia for quite some time now. The key player that is on the lips of all journalists at the moment is that of Enigma. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of Chariot Oil from Britain, who's been quite instrumental in the oil and gas exploration initiatives over the past decade off the coast of Namibia. The concession of interest, or the prospect of interest, is that of the Nimrod prospect, which is situated in the southern part of Namibia, close to the Kudu fields. There's been a lot of exploration around that region due to the massive capacities of natural gas discovered off that coastline, the Kudu field amounting to about 1.2 trillion cubic feet. The Nimrod prospect alone is expected to measure at about 4 billion barrels.
In terms of South Africa and South African players, are we going to see the likes of Sasol trying to get involved here, particularly if there are also natural gas deposits off Namibia?
Absolutely. I think off the west coast of Africa, looking at especially southern Africa, looking at the off coast of Namibia, there's been natural gas deposits that have been discovered a few years back off the coast of South Africa in the Ebubezi field, which is currently being developed, both of which are probably going to come online and start production around about 2013 to 2015. So I'm sure Sasol will be very interested in the natural gas deposits off that coastline and what that means for the development of liquid fuels in our country.
Ross, who else is likely to benefit apart from Sasol? Will this bring big players like we've seen in Angola, certainly in Nigeria as well? Which of the big internationals or multinationals do we expect to be seen in this area?
I think the major winner, of these discoveries would of course be Namibia. Now, the real question is how is Namibia? We've noticed cases in Angola and Nigeria to quite a large extent of macroeconomic policies not being put in place firm enough in order to control the distribution of wealth from crude oil production and export from those countries to reach the actual economies of those nations. Now, Namibia is different to those two countries. They have firmer macroeconomic policies. They've got a growing financial market. They've got a firm political structure, and corruption indexes, as reported on the last WEF report on Africa, of significantly low within Africa. So the major winner from this perspective would be Namibia, would be the investment into infrastructure within the country, the investment into education, which is seriously lacking in the country, the investment into healthcare, which is also a key concern. Further winners from this actual discovery could potentially be South Africa. If we can gain some form of independence, as said beforehand, from the international crude oil trade, which is experiencing quite severe price hikes at this point in time, we could severely decrease the impact of fluctuations of international oil prices on the national economy.
Are there natural advantages for South African companies, or is it possible that we might see everybody flocking to Namibia and more competition? We're thinking about, obviously you're going to see massive growth in Namibia. Maybe we can actually annex Namibia again and bring it into South Africa. I think it would do us
I see
wonderfully.
you've already booked your ticket. You're thinking about booking your ticket
I think this
tomorrow.
is great. I think this is huge for for the region. But I mean, can we take it for granted, or are we going to face intense competition from other players coming in to take advantage of, obviously, the wealth that will be created there?
Well, Ross, let's put that down to you in Cape Town.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Looking at the context on who's going to take advantage of this, I don't think we should pack our bags and all leave for Namibia at this point in time. South Africa is still the refining powerhouse of sub-Saharan Africa. We have close to about 70% to 80% of the actual refining capacity for crude oil within South Africa, and we've provided refined products to Namibia for decades now. Recently, Namibia decreased their reliance on us on refined product import from close to 100% to about 50% in order to secure their actual refining capacity supply and not rely on one country for that particular supply. So Namibia at this stage doesn't have the infrastructure to take advantage of their crude oil from a refining perspective. And with South Africa's plans such as the Mtombo refinery, able to produce about 400 barrels of refined petroleum product a day, we could definitely take advantage of cheap crude oil from Namibia for that supply.
Ross, just also taking into account the fact that we've got these major gas deposits in Namibia. Now we've found, these 11 billion barrels of oil reserves off the coast of Namibia, and of course you would want to draw similarities to South Africa, where we've also got major gas deposits. Is there the chance that we could be finding significant oil reserves off the coast of South Africa?
I think firstly, we need to clarify that we don't have major gas deposits within South Africa, at least nothing compared to that of West Africa and some of the deposits presumed to be off the coast of Namibia. The Ebobezi field that I mentioned is about 0.3 trillion cubic feet, and that of the FA and EM fields are about 0.5 trillion cubic feet. To put it in perspective, just the Kudu field that is being developed off the coast of Namibia is about 1.3 trillion feet, and the Kunene field is expected to be a massive 11 trillion cubic feet. So when you talk, I don't think we should all get too excited about the potential of crude oil off the coast of South Africa. Certainly the discovery of the Nimrod prospect so close to the borders, the international borders of South Africa, and to that Ebobezi field, just bordering on the Kudu field, will get investors quite excited, but I don't think we should jump the gun just yet.
Do you think we could curry favour with Namibia by inviting them into Super 15 and replacing the Lions?
I'm sure if they did, they'd do a little better than the Lions. I'm sure that I've offended a lot of people by saying that. Not at this stage, not so much.
Ross, just one question. When will they start producing? How long does it take to actually convert this to actual production and get oil flowing?
At this point in time, they're saying about 4 years, but I'm predicting about 4 to 5 years, maybe even 6.